Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, hello. In today's video, I created this makeup look that you see right here using the Morphe 39A Dare to Create eyeshadow palette. I believe this eyeshadow palette was or is limited edition. I don't know if it's still up on the Morphe website or not, but I know a lot of people have it, so I wanted to create a look with it. Look how beautiful this palette is. It is truly stunning. So I created a look with these colors right here in the area, which is what I'm wearing right now. And I really like how it came out. Also, I did realize that I have posted a lot of tutorials on my channel mentioning these Morphe palettes, and it's because I really do think they are awesome. The quality is awesome, the pigmentation is awesome, and the price is awesome. Any of these palettes, if you go on their website, they're going to be under $30 or $20, and I guarantee you if you pick any of them up, you will be amazed and blown at the quality of the eyeshadow palettes. So with that said, and with that rambling out of the way, I'm gonna move right into shaping and carving out my eyebrows as well as priming my eyelids. And for that, I'm gonna use this MAC Conceal and Correct palette. This is in the shade Medium, and I'm gonna dip into this shade right here, NC30. I'm just slowly cleaning up under my brows to make them look really sharp. I'm gonna drag and pat the concealer downwards. And I'm patting because I want to get the most coverage out of the concealer, as well as I want it to be nice and tacky and dry. The concealer is looking a little bit creamy and it looks like it's about to crease. So I want to prevent it from doing so. I'm going to take a little bit of translucent powder, just a little bit, and run it over that concealer. I'm going to dip into this Morphe 39A Dare to Create palette. It's really, really big and beautiful. It has this beautiful array of warm tones in the center here and pops of color and browns and neutrals. For today's look, I want to stay into this section right over here. I'm going to take a really fluffy blending brush, anything that you have that's nice and fluffy. This is a Morphe M441 brush. Firstly, taking this shade right here called Vivid from the palette. I'm going to tap off the excess just so I don't go in with too much. And I'm going to pop that color right into the crease of my eye. And I'm going to start working the brush back and forth and blending out that shade. I'm going to take another blending brush. This one is nice and clean. It's a MAC 224. And I'm just going to fluff it back and forth, not picking up any additional product, just to smooth out those edges of the vivid tone that I just applied. Blending it out made me lose some of the intensity and pigmentation of the shadow. So I'm going to dip into Vivid and pack on a little bit more color, pressing it in, slightly moving it back and forth. And then I'm going to go back in with the blending brush with the 224 and smoke it out a little bit more. You can repeat this step until you have the intensity that you want in the eyeshadow. Next, I'm going to switch brushes. I'm going to use this Morphe M573. It's just a little bit more tapered on the edge, so it's going to allow me to get deeper into that crease of my eye. I'm going to dip into Passion. I'm just going to tap off the excess and get right into that crease. I'm going to leave that color nice and tight right there on the crease of my eye, and I'm not blending out and moving that brush too much. I'm just focusing it right where I want the color to be, because later on I'm going to go in with a concealer and cut the crease. I dip in a couple times into the palette, but I tap off the excess every time because I don't want to go in with too much. That line and transition there is looking a little bit rough. So I'm going to take a clean 224. I kind of wiped off whatever I had on a piece of paper. And now I'm going to just blend those two colors together. And with these kind of blown out and smoky makeup looks, you really want to take your time and sit here, blend everything out until it's nice and seamless. That is what's really going to make a difference in the look when you're done. I'm going to take a smaller packing brush into this color right here. With these darker colors, I prefer to pack them on rather than use a blending brush that's just going to fluff the product everywhere. I'm packing it onto my very outer corner and slightly flicking it outwards, but not too much. Just really concentrating it on that V right there on the outside crease of my eye. I'm going to take that clean blending brush, the 224. I'm going to fluff this color in really lightly. And to assure I'm not holding the brush with too much pressure, I'm not grabbing it here. I'm grabbing it right here so my pressure is really light and soft. Just to brush out and diffuse those harsh lines. I'm going back in with a little more color because I feel like I lost it in the blending. With a pencil brush, I'm going to dip into Muse, the black from the eyeshadow palette. I just want to add it to the outer V of my eye. Just because I want to create a little bit more depth, and I wasn't getting that with that deep cranberry color that I just placed there. The palette doesn't really have a brow bone highlight, so I'm just going to dip into the Anastasia and AMREZY highlighter, and I'm popping it right where the arch of my brow is. I don't want to take it too far down into the tail or too far up into where my brow starts. Now I'm going to carve out my lid, and I'm going to use the same 242 synthetic brush from MAC and the Pro Longwear concealer in the shade NC15, and I'm using such a light color because I really want the color that I put on top to pop. I'm taking a nice amount on the brush and kind of placing it where I want it first and start to carve out the lid. And I'm taking it where that dark purple starts to meet, and I'm just patting the concealer in because this concealer is very, very wet and I want it to dry down as much as it possibly can. Now I'm going to very quickly grab a bone colored eyeshadow and just press it in so that does not budge and mess up the crease that we created. Now I'm lightly just tapping in the outer corners just because I don't want that harsh line of concealer to stop there. So I'm just kind of like pushing it in, but I'm actually going to go in later after I apply the lid color and blend those two really seamlessly. So for the lid color, I'm going to use the shade Trendy, and I'm dipping in with a flat 239 brush from MAC. Giving it a good spritz of Fix Plus to intensify the eyeshadow pigment. I am just going to push this into my lid. And I'm going to go into this shade right here and just lightly pat that in. With the same brush, I'm going to dip into this corner shade right here. Giving it really nice and tight onto that outer corner and dragging the product slightly inward but not going past the previous color that I applied. Next, with the black, I'm just going to intensify that outer crease. And make sure to go back in, like always, with a blending brush. Okay, I did my wing liner, and as you could see, this area right here is still a hot mess. That's the reason why I always do my eyeshadow first and then I do my face, is because I don't want any fallout or any excess eyeshadow onto, you know, the face makeup that you just spent so much time on. So I'm going to take a cotton pad and I'm dipping some micellar cleansing water. It's this really nice makeup remover. I've been trying it for just a little bit and I'm really enjoying it. It takes off my makeup really effortlessly. So I'm going to just put my nail on the back of the cotton pad and I'm going to use that as like a sharp edge to create that crisp line along my eyeliner. Apply some mascara. I'm using the Giga Black Lash by MAC. I'm going to run some black eyeliner under those lashes just so when I pop them on I don't have any skin peeking through the liner. Okay, so I just went ahead and did this eye off of camera. I popped on some Huda Beauty Fair Lashes, and I'm ready to go in and do my skin. So I scooted you guys back a little bit. My skin has been super dry lately, so I'm going to hydrate it a little bit with this Farsali Rose Gold Elixir Oil. So the next thing I'm going to do is put a little bit of primer on, and lately I'm loving the Skin Refine Zone by MAC. For years I've been hooked on the Smashbox Pore Minimizing Primer and on the Benefit Porefessional. So a little while ago I took a sample of this Skin Refine Zone. It has changed my freaking life. It is so amazing. It literally makes my skin up close look filtered. Like the way this blurs out my pores and just minimizes any fine lines or any imperfections that I may have is just beyond me. Like, it's so crazy how I still look at my face hours after I've applied my foundation and everything, and it still looks flawless. And I'm super hooked at the moment. It makes my skin nice and tacky, so the way my foundation just grabs onto that product, it's really, really nice. So I highly recommend that you try it. Maybe you might like it as much as I do. For foundation, I'm going to use the NARS All Day Luminous Weightless Foundation. I'm going to give it a good shake because this is pretty watery, and I'm going to pump maybe about 4 or 5 pumps onto a little dish and grab it with a MAC Oval 6 brush and just... It's funny because I used to not like this foundation at all when I had a little bit more of combo to oilier skin, and now as of lately that I've been so dry, this foundation has been working really well for me, and it does a good job at keeping my skin nice and hydrated. I don't find that it breaks up on me at all like other foundations do when I'm a little bit more dry. Guys, my skin literally up close, it looks blurred. Like, you cannot see anything at all. It's crazy. That primer is so good. I'm going to use the NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer. This is in the shade Custard. And I'm going to go under my eyes and conceal and highlight them a little bit. Also, I'm going to do a little bit on my forehead just to balance everything out. Down my nose. And I'm going to balance everything out on my chin and on my cupid's bow, just so I'm not super bright under my eyes and then the rest of my face. It just doesn't look good. I'm going to push this product in with a beauty blender. I like to press in the concealer with a beauty blender. I feel like it looks really flawless, and even if I do this step with a brush, I'll still go in with a beauty blender after and just blend everything out. Give myself a little bit of a cream bronze / contour situation just because I'm obsessed with that step and I cannot skip it. But you could totally skip this step and just go in with your bronzer. I just like to incorporate this into my makeup routine really quick. I feel like it makes everything that I put on top last a little bit longer. I'm going to put it in the areas where I usually bronze, and with a flat little duo fiber brush. This is a MAC, what is this, 130? Yeah, I just like to push the cream concealer, because that's actually a concealer. I'm gonna just push that into my skin, and I never sweep it back and forth. I always just push because I don't want it to lift any of the foundation that I have under. And I used the LA Girl Pro Concealer in the shade Toffee. This is my favorite brush to do this with. I feel like the front of the bristles do a good job to not grab any product, but then these right here in the back blend it out really, really nicely. Whatever excess is left on the brush, I'm just gonna drag it down my jawline, chisel it out a little bit more, and to blend out the color. For my nose, I'm just going to take this little flat brush right here, and I'm gonna push the product in. Zoe, what are you doing? But I want to sharpen up that contour, so I'm gonna go back in with the NARS creamy concealer that I used. And I'm just gonna drag it down and put a little bit on the sides of my nose just to pinch it together, and so those lines are nice and sharp. I'm gonna just pinch the beauty blender and go down the bridge. Just gonna go over everything. Oh my god, what is that? Oh my god, what was that? What the hell was that? Just ruined everything. So lately, when it comes to my under eyes, I have been doing something very different, and I find that it has worked for me very nicely. Lately, with my dry skin, I find that when I put setting powder or translucent powder under my eyes, I find that I get really creasy right up here. So what I like to do is take my powder. This is my Hello Flawless powder, and I like to just grab my beauty blender and first diffuse out any creases, and before I even move, quickly push into that powder and push into my under eyes. So that way I do not set in any creases. I'm just really pouncing my beauty blender into those lines, and I feel like that makes a huge difference. So I'm gonna twirl it around and pat away any lines and push pressed powder into there so loose powder doesn't settle in, because lately I've been finding that loose powder sets into those fine lines. So if you have that problem, try this. Maybe it'll work for you. So next I'm going to do the Laura Mercier translucent powder, and this one is almost out, so whoa. My other one. So I'm gonna go into that Laura Mercier translucent powder and just set the rest of my under eye with this and brighten with this as well. I really like a brightened under eye, and that powder was just a little bit too dark to do that. That powder is in the shade Petal, I think. I'm gonna go down the bridge of my nose as well to brighten that area. I'm going to brighten my forehead and set my chin, pretty much running this beauty blender all over the place so everything is nice and meshed together. I'm going to take a big fluffy brush and make sure that everything is set and go over my contour a little bit, or my bronzer that I put on. Just so when I go in with a powder, it doesn't stick to any patches because it's wet there. So I want to make sure to pat it in place so it's nice and dry. I'm going to give myself a little bronze, and I'm going to use the MAC Give Me Sun Mineralized Skin Finish. I'm going to do that with a MAC 129 brush. This is one of my favorite brushes to apply my bronzer with. I feel like it really gets nice and tight into this area. I'm going to use a blush. This is in the shade Peaches by MAC, and it's one of my favorites. I love blush, and I could go from normal to clown so fast and not even realize. So I'm trying to take it down a notch on the blush, but it's hard for me. I'm just like triggered to go crazy with the blush. Shh, Zoe! I'm going to give my skin a mist of Fix Plus just to set everything in and so nothing moves. Also, I like to do this step at this point in my makeup because next I'm going to highlight. And when I put my highlighter on, I like for my skin to be a little bit wet, especially in this area, because I just think when the highlighter applies on a little bit more of like a damp surface, it just looks so much nicer. And it just melts with my skin so much nicer rather than a powder sitting on top. So I'm going to just cover my eyes and give myself a tiny spritz. I'm going to use the Anastasia Beverly Hills and the AMREZY highlighter. And this highlighter is freaking bomb. It really is what the hype makes you think it is. I'm gonna use a Morphe M510 and I'm gonna just place this on the high points on my face, which is where the light naturally hits, on the tops of my cheekbone. Oh my god, dude, I can't even, I don't even know what I'm saying at this point. Oh my god, look at that. It's so beautiful. And since my skin is a little bit damp, it just looks so metallic and gorgeous. I can't take it. Oh my god, I can't take it. And now that I look like a glazed donut and I'm glowy as fuck and I don't care, to finish my under eyes, and for that I'm gonna go back into the palette and take this color right here, which is the first one I use. I'm gonna use a Morphe M432 and I'm gonna push this really close to my lash line. I'm gonna take a little pencil brush and just diffuse that color out a little bit so it's not so harsh. I'm gonna use the Giga Black Lash to go over my bottom lashes. I'm gonna use the Prep and Prime Lip by MAC. And this is, oh my god, it broke. Oh my god, it broke. MAC Boldly Bare lip liner, and I'm gonna top that off with Cruising lipstick by NARS. Okay guys, so that is the completed look. I really hope that you guys enjoy the video. I hope that it was easy to follow, and I highly encourage you to recreate at home. Even if you're not comfortable with the colors or the wing liner or the lashes or whatever it may be, just do it. You will be surprised at what the outcome is. So anyway, with that being said, I will see you in my next video. If you liked the video, don't forget to hit a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more videos.